a Look, the podcast bringing back a personal pop culture recommendation with Rin and Roger.
It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two. We back, baby. Welcome, everyone, to Give It a Look podcast. Good to be back. My name is Rojo. I'm here, as always, with the old co-host, Rin. Rin, how was your summer, my friend?
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually. What'd I do? Went a bit regional over the holidays. Went up to Bendigo, went around Geelong area. So that was really nice to get away and, you know, see some friends, catch up with friends. I got some new tattoos as well. As we know, I'm a bit of a crazy cat lady, so I got some cat tattoos. One is my serious cat, one is my party cat on my ankle. But it's been good. You know, back in the swing of things now, back to work, all that. What about you?
Yeah, well, it didn't get off to a good start, my friends. Your boy here actually caught COVID the week before Christmas. I caught it at an open mic night, would you believe? So at the very least, I caught it doing something that I enjoy. You know, it didn't just come to me in some other place.
Are you saying that sharing a microphone is potentially how you maybe got COVID?
Yeah, well, we've done this whole podcast remote, haven't we? So maybe it needs to stay that way for a bit. Anyway, so my Christmas was kind of cancelled. I had to do everything remote. I had some very kind friends and family dropping off food and checking on me and whatever. And I was all good and ready to go for New Year's Eve and for a little holiday of my own at the start of Jan. Yeah, I had my sense of taste and smell back by that point. So I spent most of New Year's Eve just like eating stuff.
Were you just gorging?
I was just so happy to have it back.
Yeah.
It's such a strange sensation.
Like you have all those textures, right? But no taste.
It was pretty nasty having it. Like some people I know have got off easy. They've been asymptomatic. Mine was not nice. Wouldn't recommend it. Just hope everyone's staying safe out there and keeping each other safe as well. What about your pop culture summer? You were saying you've gotten to some series or...
Yeah, so over the break, you know, we had really high COVID case numbers. You know, Omicron ran rampant.
That's my favourite Transformer, Omicron.
Well, let's hope none of those movies continue to get made. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so I didn't go to any cinemas. I was supposed to go and actually see Moulin Rouge, which I have rescheduled for April, just because with case numbers being so high and I've got a few events coming up, I just couldn't afford to get sick, and miss out on those certain special events. So I've just been doing a lot of home watching. So I've been catching up on Queer Eye, which I used to watch years ago.
With the OG cast?
I mean, I was probably a bit young at that stage, so I probably didn't watch. Yeah, I was probably maybe like 9 or 10 when they were around. I saw snippets of it, but it wasn't like something I sat down and watched per se. But yeah, so I've been watching the, Netflix version of Queer Eye, and it's so good. It's so wholesome. I did not realize how much I used to cry watching this show as well. You know, it's just so wholesome and so nice and warm. What else did I watch? I watched Emily in Paris. Like, it's kind of, I guess, targeted for my age group of sorts, but it was just really funny because parts of it was just ridiculous. And I think I was watching it with a friend I was visiting. We just kind of ended up taking the piss out of it a lot. It was quite enjoyable in that respect, you know. But I think my favorite was actually Love on the Spectrum. I love that.
Yes.
How good is it? Oh my gosh.
Yes, that is a favourite.
So, yeah, so wholesome. And it's just a really nice insight into, you know, people who are on the spectrum and, you know, wanting to find love. And yeah, so it was really, really nice show to watch. So I definitely recommend that for anyone who, you know, needs some feel-good vibes.
And how good is the practitioner on that show? I think her name's Jodie.
Yeah.
Where she comes on and does kind of social skills training. Just incredible. It really makes me grateful that there's people out there with so much experience and so much patience and compassion, because it's hard enough putting yourself out there, but when you've got additional challenges or when you're not neurotypical, as we might say, like there's just barriers and stuff that should be worked on. Yeah,
a nice show to watch. So again, if you want feel good vibes, watch that. But what about you? Tell me, what did you see anything at the cinema since you were kind of COVID safe to go as such?
Yeah, I did. I got back into it, and we'll get to our summer cinema review in just a second. I will say live music is back in my life as well. Went to a great gig at the Palais the other night. It's just special to be in a room with other people enjoying it, musicians. Funnily enough, I was looking around the audience and there was definitely a lot less people like recording on their phone or being on their phone during the performance. I think
just like living it, right?
Yeah, I think there was this real sense that we haven't had this for so long and we're just going to enjoy it.
That's so nice.
Real special night. Looking forward to a lot more of that. Cool. Well, before we went on break after Christmas last year, we were hyping up our Summer of Cinema, where we were encouraging the listeners out there to get back along to their local, whether it was their local multiplex or independent or drive-through, and start to catch some of the blockbuster releases of the summer period and send in your reviews. And a few of you did that. Thank you for everyone who's done that. We're going to go through a few of the major summer releases now, and we'll hear some other ones in the future. Rin, did you want to start us off?
So we'll just start with a review we had from our Instagram page. So it's from Dulcie B, who wrote, saw Venom, which was average and predictable, give it a miss. Been listening to Grimes quite a bit lately. Do recommend if you like fun, vibey music. So that was nice to have some engagement from there.
Yeah, well, thank you, Dulcie B. She's one of our most active community members. Go on here for Disney's Encanto. So Brooke says Disney has reset the bar again with Encanto, featuring spectacular animation, music, and a storyline that keeps you on your toes. A film full of teachings and great emotions. Lastly, we don't talk about Bruno slaps. It certainly does, considering it's number one on the Billboard charts, or was a few weeks ago. I did see Encanto at home because it's already on Disney Plus. I actually saw it while I had COVID and on one of my worst days of having COVID. So it's a little bit like a fever dream for me. Yeah, really enjoyed the music. All the songs are written by our boy Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton. I do think it has some interesting stuff to say about toxic family ideals. I know some friends of mine that come from South African and like European families certainly found it very affecting in terms of, that tension between, I guess, family expectations and what other people want. Yeah, it was also interesting that it didn't really have like a main villain, if you like. Every character was well-rounded, but the songs are great. The animation's beautiful. I like the creativity of the house. So my recommendation is definitely give it a look. All right, what's next, Rin?
We have a suggestion from Jonathan, who went and saw Dune. So Jonathan says, I saw Dune twice. Timothy Chalamet convincingly plays a young man struggling with the expectations that have been placed on him. Hans Zimmer's soundtrack elevates the grandness of the sci-fi setting even more, and Zendaya looks over her shoulder in slow-mo a lot. Give it a look.
She certainly does, Jonathan.
That sounds very bold and beautiful.
Yeah, a bit like that. I saw this one in cinemas as well. I also have it on good authority that it is absolutely stunning in IMAX.
Oh.
Hans Zimmer score and the visuals. Yeah, I've really missed having like a good meaty sci-fi space opera to really sink your teeth into that isn't Star Wars, kind of on the reg. It's such a strange, unusual world to discover, and I really liked the slow unraveling of this strange technology. There's a type of magic, I suppose, in the world and whatever. It is quite a cold film. The director, Denis Villeneuve, he has a habit of creating quite cold films and not, you're not looking for lovable characters necessarily, but there's some really cool effects in there. The only complaint I would have is that it really finishes up, as soon as it starts to get really interesting. Part 2 can't come soon enough. I'm really excited to see exactly how this one ends. Yes, and Zendaya does look over her shoulder a whole lot.
The two of them, Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya, they're both very huge young stars at the moment. It'll be really interesting to see how their future looks for them as well, because everything they're in at the moment is just going gangbusters, essentially. I would like to give that a look, actually.
I still remember Tim being in a series of Homeland as this really obnoxious kid, and I was like, ugh, I hate this kid. But good on him for going on to bigger and better things.
Oh, another thing I watched over the break was Don't Look Up.
Okay, yeah.
That was hilarious. Like, there's so many things on social media that people are like, oh, so boring. Oh, I hate it. Oh, what a slow movie. I'm like, you are literally missing the whole point of the film. Like, it's a complete, like, the whole thing's a satire. His character in that just cracks me up. He's just like, can I be vulnerable in your car? Like, you know.
And our final contribution for this ep is Spider-Man Far From Home. Just a little spoiler thing here. If you're one of the two people that haven't seen this yet, you might want to fast forward 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me close my ears.
Mute him. Cancel him. We have a review here from Jake. Even after seeing it 3 times at the cinema, Spider-Man No Way Home proved to stand out in the best way possible in a time where we get regular superhero movies and TV shows. Even though it proved to be a cinematic event filled with fan service and incredible performances from the Spider-Men, both old and new, it never discarded or forgot about the remaining elements which make up the world of Spider-Man. It has been said that the Marvel Cinematic Universe would become obsolete after the astonishing outcome of Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man No Way Home debunked that theory. Definitely give it a look. So, yeah, definitely a super fan's take there. I saw this at the cinema as well. Literally days before I saw it, I was talking to someone at work about how I was getting Marvel movied out. And I am Marvel movied out, but I went to see it anyway because, spoilers, I don't know. This was my favourite of the Spider-Man trilogy. It feels like probably the biggest scale thing they've done since Endgame. It finally gives Tom Holland's Spider-Man like a proper origin story. Mm-hmm. You know, he's this happy-go-lucky person who wants to do the right thing and believe the best in people. But in going through with that, he gets his ass kicked, basically, and things happen in his life. Tragic things. He actually goes through some loss in this. And can we just give an Oscar to Andrew Garfield for spending the best part of 12 months denying that he was in this show? That must have been so painful. Tom Holland's not great at keeping secrets in films to himself. So
they always have someone with him now. Like during interviews to rein him in a bit.
Give him the electric shock.
How many times have you seen one movie at the cinema?
The most. I've definitely seen some stuff twice. I saw Little Women twice. I saw Silver Linings Playbook twice. I saw Civil War twice.
I reckon I've seen a few movies twice, but never more than that because I'm like, well, I can wait.
Yeah, that's not to say that if there was some kind of special screening or whatever, I wouldn't go and see something again.
I was going to say, a few of them I saw twice. I remember I saw Shutter Island twice because that movie is such a psychological thriller. You kind of need to see it again to kind of get the ideas behind it. Do you know what I mean? And see the little snippets that you might not have seen at the first viewing. Inception as well. I'm pretty sure twice. Twice is probably the most I've ever seen a movie at the cinema, like the same movie.
I mean, obviously there's a time frame on it as well. If you've seen something 3 times, you've seen it 3 times in a month. Yeah. And I don't know if I've done that with many things. So, yeah, definitely a super fan, and thank you for your contribution, Jake. So we will be having some more films from the Summer of Cinema being reviewed in upcoming episodes, but we're going to leave it there for now, and we're going to introduce you to a new little episode series on this, on Give It a Look, which is called TV Time. We've done films, we've done music, but we have not yet gone into the realm of the idiot box. So for those who might be new to our show, what we do is we actually make a pop culture recommendation to each other that the other person has not seen before. And then they watch it and we get to hear their take on it. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, this being TV, we had to make some ground rules in terms of episodes and whatever, because if one of us gives the other a series that's 10 seasons long, like Grey's Anatomy or something, there's absolutely no way we're going to be able to sit down
18 seasons, but okay. Yeah.
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to get through all of it. So we made some ground rules. We said at a minimum, I made some ground rules. At a minimum, if it's like an hour-long show or thereabouts, we'd have the other person watch a minimum of 4 episodes. And if it's a half-hour show or thereabouts, we'd have the other person watch a minimum of 6 episodes. They were welcome to watch more, but that was the minimum. That's going to shape the conversation somewhat. Let's get into it. Rin, what is your first recommendation of the new year for me? TV series. Let's go.
I gave you The White Lotus. I thought this show was very clever, very well written. The characters were also just had their own personalities, and everyone kind of stood out. So basically the idea behind the White Lotus is, it's a resort in Hawaii, well, this particular one. And, we follow just, the lives of the staff members and the guests. So we're at the start, we're at the airport, and one of the guests is at the airport, and, this couple kind of go up to him and they're like, oh, all alone. Oh, what's going on kind of thing. And he goes, oh, yep, I was staying at the White Lotus or whatever. And we kind of see a body of sorts being put onto the aeroplane. And, then there's this mystery of who is that body who's getting put on the plane. We go back, a week, we see that unfold and see what happens and how we kind of end up at that point. It's very good. It's a comedy drama, 6 episodes. It was created, written, directed by Mike White, who people may know as the OG Mr. Schneebly from School of Rock. I think from memory, he's also done The Amazing Race, I think, with his dad. A little bit of trivia for you. The cast is really great. You've got like Connie Britton, who's been in Dirty John and American Horror Story. And then you've got Steve Zahn, who I haven't seen for a while. The only thing I can kind of think of at this point is You've Got Mail and Daddy Daycare. And then we've got Jennifer Coolidge as well, who is hilarious in everything she does, Legally Blonde, Two Broke Girls.
Stifler's mother.
Yes. Who can forget? And then we've got Sydney Sweeney as well, who is on Euphoria, which is a massive show at the moment as well. So there's a character called Armand, played by Murray Bartlett, and he's Australian, and I love that he has his Australian accent in this show as well. And he's just a cracker of a character as well. Little tidbit here as well. He was in an episode of Sex and the City. Big fan of that show as well. But it's just a really great show. Keeps you on your toes. It's been green lit for a second season. They're going to make it an anthology season. So it's going to be different characters, but like all set at the White Lotus like hotels. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that unfolds. Tell me, what were your opening thoughts?
Well, just to clear it up, we did talk about our 4-episode minimum for shows like this, but I ended up watching the whole thing.
Woohoo.
This was really good. I really like that it's kind of a lower stakes, almost hangout kind of show. You get a bit burnt out on the big high stakes saving the world kind of thing. So I like that it's just these small stories. I think the idea for the show is great because a swanky resort seems like the perfect front for behind the scenes chaos. You think about these staff and whatever that have to keep everyone happy and all the different demands and things that might go wrong.
Like they've got to put it on a face as such, don't they? Have this facade.
Armand talks about that a bit in one of the opening scenes.
I love how there's a new team member, Lani, who she's pregnant, but hasn't told anyone because otherwise, they wouldn't have given her a job, and then she ends up giving birth.
Yeah.
Or her water breaks in the lobby, and then, she's like, oh shit.
I think I audibly gasped when that happened because it's so matter of fact.
Someone walks past and is like, can you clean that up? Like... Not realizing.
Yeah, Armand slips on it and stuff. Yeah, it is quite dry. It is very, rich white people problems, but that's kind of the point. And it does even touch on some interesting themes about like colonialism and stuff. There's a character who works at the resort who's a Hawaiian native. When the White Lotus was set up, his people were kind of kicked off the land, more or less. By the way, really stunningly shot on location in Hawaii. Quite liked the soundtrack as well, using a lot of traditional Hawaiian music, and I still got kind of the theme music in my head, that
Yeah, I like the opening title as well. It's very I don't know, nice to look at. It's kind of mesmerizing. That's how I want to describe it, I think.
It does start with this death, I suppose, and you're wondering who it is the whole time. But you're also enjoying just kind of hanging out with the characters, and the drama kind of sneaks up on you a bit.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I watched episode 5. I was really invested. Like I wanted to find out how everything was going to end.
Yeah.
It was a work night, unfortunately. It was getting pretty late, so I put it off. But I liked how it kind kind of snuck up on me. So yeah, we kind of spend time between these three groups. You've got this family that's there where the husband, Steve Zahn, is having a health scare, and the wife is she's kind of the breadwinner and is always trying to run her business. There's a fantastic scene with Alex Daddario and Connie Britton where Alex's character Rachel approaches Connie's character Nicole because she recognizes her as the head of this company, and she's complimenting her on, thank you for everything you've done for women in business. And then Rachel's a journalist and starts talking about, I wrote this article about you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicole says, oh yeah, I read that rather. And suddenly the conversation shifts because she goes, oh, that was terrible. Like that was really insulting, this puff piece. And she really like puts Rachel in her place. And it's this fantastic power move.
Did you get like secondhand awkwardness from watching that? Like were you like, ooh.
So much. There is so much of this. There's a point where two characters who want to have like a romantic dinner out on a small boat end up getting put in with another character who's spreading their mother's ashes.
Yes.
This show won't be for everyone because it is quite dry and there is a lot of secondhand embarrassment. And if you cannot deal with that, you're going to have your skin crawling right now. I actually really loved the arc of Quinn, the son of Nicole and Mark. It just reminded me of some films that I like The Way Back. The kid who doesn't quite fit in kind of has his day. He comes to the island and he's kind of hating life and he's mistreated by his sister and he's like always on his phone or his Switch or whatever. But then he gets his gadgets wet basically and he can't use them. And he actually starts kind of taking in the world around him, and he's really randomly invited to go off canoeing with these islanders. It's just a really small part of the show, but it was kind of like a fist bump moment in terms of how it ended up.
Yeah, it's quite nice. And they're very like, come join us, man. Like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. Like they kind of accept him as their own as well, and he's feeling for the first time, I'm assuming, involved and wanted.
Yeah, that's right. Rachel's story is quite, exasperating and tragic. She's a newlywed with Shane.
A baby man.
Yeah. And this is where a lot of the secondhand embarrassment comes in. They haven't known each other for very long. They've kind of got married. He's from money. She's not. And as they start to talk about things, they realize there's this real inequality in the relationship and he just can't let things go. He's got it in for Armand because of some things that happen with their room. His mother shows up at some point.
She's so funny.
Molly Shannon is fantastic as a guest star in that. Look, it's not riotously laugh out loud, but yeah, I genuinely enjoy just being a fly on the wall to an existential crisis in paradise. Do you know
Actually,
what I mean?
That's a good point. It's kind of like, you just love a bit of goss. You love a bit of tea. You know what I mean? Like you just want to be sipping on that tea.
Yeah, let's talk about Murray Bartlett as Armand for a while. I haven't seen this guy in anything. This guy absolutely steals the show. He needs to be in everything.
Yes, he was so good. You were very drawn to his character. It's just funny because like throughout the show, it just becomes a bit more wild as such, or his character becomes a little bit more wild, like,
Very true, yeah.
But yeah, there's a few scenes that kind of a bit shock value, I think. And you kind of go, oh, that's not how he was portrayed at the start per se, but
This is HBO, so if you have the palate for some of the graphicness, just be aware of that if that's not your thing. Interesting that it did get greenlit for season 2 because considering how this ends, it's going to be quite a different season. I'm really keen for it. I'm keen to see where it goes with some new guests. The casting, they've already got Michael Imperioli and Audrey Plaza on board, so some really interesting names. So I'm keen to see what kind of characters they play.
I really wanted more episodes. Like I thought 6 wasn't enough to like quench my thirst. I was like, and I finished the series going, that was really good. That was really good and I enjoyed that.
I was happy with 6. I am a big fan of limited series just because I don't have the time to commit to years and years of content.
Unlike me. Watch it.
And this is where anthology can work. This is where stuff like your Black Mirror can come in and really work because it's new stories and whatever. A few interesting storytelling choices along the way. In the finale, there's a few major events that happen off camera that you don't really kind of get closure to, which I thought was an interesting choice. I don't know, I guess it was just kind of cut for time. But overall, low stakes. Let's follow these people through, see where they end up. Not everyone's going to have a happy ending. A good story, yeah.
So we're going to play a new game, guys. We're going to play Snog, Marry, Avoid. Rojo, Snog, marry, avoid. Who are your three?
No worries. Yes, so this is new. Okay, so I went Snog Paula.
Yep.
Just because. I said marry Rachel because I'm being a complete white knight and I hate Shane. I just wanted to get away from that. And I want to encourage her in her passions and ambitions and whatever. And Alexandra Daddario has some of the best blue eyes in Hollywood, so that made the choice pretty easy. And avoid, I put Kitty, Shane's mother. Because she's just super intense and she's always very passive aggressive, and she kind of says to Rachel, just be happy. Like, all we want you to do is be happy.
Be happy.
Like, happy.
You don't need to work. It's fine.
So that's me. We'll put you through your paces when we get to your show. But yes, The White Lotus, give it a look from me. It's currently available to stream on Binge.
Hey everyone. We wanted to take a minute to tell you about our new friends at Xeroco. Xeroco make incredible home cleaning and personal care products conveniently delivered direct to your door, minus all the single-use plastic. They're Australian made and owned. All their products are plant-based and feature carbon negative delivery. Now, the way it works is super simple. You order, Xeroco deliver, you return their reusable liquid pouches and Xeroco refill them. It's like the milkman reimagined. If you're new to Xeroco, use our affiliate link in the episode description and get yourself one of their convenient starter kits. Not only will you be cutting down on household waste and helping clean up our oceans, beaches and landfill, you'll also be supporting this podcast. Xeroco. Give single-use plastic the flick.
All right. Now, my recommendation to you, Rin, first one of the year, I have given you Fleabag. So Fleabag comes to us from Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She is the writer and the star of Fleabag. And it's based off her one-woman show, which she put together for the Edinburgh Fringe Fest in 2013 before, making it into this limited series a few years later. So she plays the character Fleabag, who is never actually named in the show, but in all the reference material, she's referred to as Fleabag. In fact, there's quite a few characters in the show that are never named that have quite hilarious names in the reference material. I don't know. The best way to describe Fleabag is that she's a bit of a hot mess, like we all can be from time to time. She owns a cafe which is failing, and she's having trouble to get a bank loan. Her mother passed away, and her dad is now in a relationship with her godmother, played immaculately by Olivia Colman, very passive-aggressive artist. She has these flashbacks to her best friend Boo, who she opened the cafe with, and you slowly find out what happened to Boo. She's good friends with her very, very wound-up sister Claire, who is just this fantastic character, probably the most tightly strung person you've ever seen on screen. And she is married to an American, Martin, who is just an obnoxious piece of work in himself. And the marriage just looks like it's going nowhere. Yeah, a bit of a hot mess. She was in a relationship with a guy, but that's kind of fallen by the wayside. And she tends to hook up with people that she doesn't know and tends to have a few kind of unhealthy relationships here and there. The hallmark of Fleabag as a series is the fourth wall breaking. Fleabag is constantly looking directly into the camera at the audience. Sometimes it's a look, sometimes it's a comment or both, but no other character can hear this. This is just her thing. And my goodness, I mean, some people say that, women are not funny, but I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the absolute antithesis to that, because her timing is absolutely exquisite here. And it is a dramedy. Like, there's some really dark stuff here as you discover more about Fleabag and what she's done and the things that she carries around in her life. Yeah, it just kind of flew by. And we'll talk a little bit about the second series as well, because it's a significant step up from the first. But this show has won 6 Emmys. It's won 2 Golden Globes. Both of the series have got 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, if you care about that kind of thing. And what's incredible is that there isn't going to be any more. There's only these 12 episodes, in the same vein as like a Fawlty Towers or something. It ends perfectly in my eyes. And I just felt like it was really heartfelt and, had something interesting to say about dealing with life's ups and downs and just the desperation to work through hard things. So tell me, Ren, how much of Fleabag did you watch and what were your opening thoughts?
I watched the whole 2 seasons. I will say this. So at the start, I wasn't fully engaged, like probably the first 3 episodes. I wasn't a big fan of the breaking the fourth wall, to be honest. For me, it was a bit too much. And I'm not a big fan of that, like, because it was quite constant. Like, I remember during Sex and the City, I think the first 2 seasons, they tried to do that and then they stopped, which was good because, again, I wasn't a big fan of that. That's just a personal thing of mine. But yeah, we find that Fleabag is quite a mess of a person, really. She doesn't really have much going for her at the start of the show. Her best friend has passed away, things you've mentioned as well. Her cafe's, going down the shitter per se. All her family is, she just kind of has a lot of this judgment from her family as well. Like her sister, is this high-flying business person, and then her dad doesn't really care to have a bar of her, because as we kind of find out, like, she has a personality similar to her mother who passed away, and the dad, is kind of a bit like, yeah, you're more like your mother. And obviously there was certain tensions there. So basically it's just Fleabag on her own because no one kind of gets her, except for potentially, her mother and Boo, her friend who passed away. So she's alone, essentially. I love that they have this cafe, though, that is like guinea pig themed. Like, that's hilarious. I actually really enjoyed the more drama aspects of this, which kind of happens, I think, in the last 3 episodes. But like you said, Olivia Colman's character as the, stepmother / godmother, very passive aggressive, but in a very fun, like the way she delivers it is amazing. It's so good. Like, it's just, I can't describe it. It's just, it zings.
Like, she's incredible in this.
Amazing. There's throwbacks of before Boo passed away, and we're trying to figure out like how that happened and, things like that as well. Martin, who is Claire's American husband, who is very obnoxious, very arrogant, misogynistic, the ultimate gaslighter. It's your fault that you're not finding his, sexual innuendos and jokes funny. Like, that's a you problem. Do you ever find like really strong American accents placed in other countries, like, like England, very jarring?
Definitely. And this is Brett Gelman, who many people would know from Stranger Things. He had a bit of a larger role in season 3. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And by the time I got to the end, and, there's kind of that twist at the end, and we kind of find out why Boo passed away and how Boo passed away. And I was like, oh, well, damn, now I've got to watch season 2. So I started watching season 2. And again, I think it's set a year later, right? So we've gone past a year, and we find that Fleabag, she's kind of grown a bit more.
Yeah.
She's trying. Her father and godmother plan to be wed, and they get introduced to the hot priest, who again doesn't have a name. There's just all this kind of, I guess, sexual tension between Fleabag and hot priest, and I really enjoy watching it. Like, it's really intriguing, I suppose, because a man of the clergy, is forbidden. So that's a really interesting storyline that I really enjoyed, actually.
So it sounds like it picked up for you.
I think season 2 was better than season 1.
I fully agree. And season 1's no slouch, and it lays the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I said this to my sibling when I watched season 2. I said, I think I just watched a perfect season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that about much. There was nothing in there that I would have taken out. There is nothing in there I would have added in.
I was a bit sad about the end. Won't spoil, but
No. Andrew Scott is exceptional as a hot priest. And just this unlikely pairing, these two people that are so different, but he has so much space and compassion and just wants to kind of hear her out. And he's not perfect or whatever. He's not.
He's been there. He's done that before he became a priest and stuff. So he's aware of ins and outs of certain aspects of life. But yeah, it's just very interesting to see how they entangle themselves within each other's lives. Like they kind of can't keep away, but like they know that they shouldn't do certain things or say certain things. And yeah, no, very, very good. I agree. Second season was very chef's kiss, mwah, you know.
I'm trying to think whether you could go into it without seeing the first, maybe not.
As a collective, like as 1 and 2, it's kind of like a full circle, like, you know, full circle. Like we see this woman being a mess, not having much going for her, just taking it day by day, I suppose. And then we see at the end how much she's kind of grown as a person, you know, like she wasn't aware of that she could love. At the end, we kind of see that it is a potential that she can.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's kind of like a full circle moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched the whole second season all in one go, and I'm not a binger, so
yeah, I watched it all in one day.
It's short episodes. You can blaze through it. I'll talk about one scene in particular in the second season that just represents this relationship between Fleabag and Hot Priest the best. I've never seen this done. So we've got this fourth wall breaking, and the Hot Priest starts to pick up on it, as in he can tell that she's kind of gone into her head and is thinking this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's this shocking moment. It's very well executed.
It's actually really funny. He's like, where'd you go?
Yeah, very well executed, and shows the intimacy that's forming, that he can actually tell when she's disassociated or whatever it is that's happening when she's talking to the audience per se.
Yeah.
Some really great guest stars throughout both series, but especially in series 2. You've got Fiona Shaw is in there as a counsellor who she goes to talk about her feelings for this priest, and they have a very, very funny exchange. And Kristen Scott Thomas is in there as well as this businesswoman who Fleabag has this really raw conversation with at a bar, and it's really interesting because she's kind of feeding off this woman. This woman is someone that she aspires to be. You even feel a sense of perhaps like sexual attraction there, whether that's genuine or whether that's her not necessarily knowing how to express herself and that just coming through. But you can sense the kind of some of the despair that she walks around with because she feels that she's a failure. So this, at the heart of this series really is the broken heart of walking around feeling like you're a failure and trying to learn, I don't know, how to have hope and to let things surprise you, I suppose. And that's probably what you can take from it. Similar to White Lotus, a lot of secondhand embarrassment, a lot of cringe. So again, if that's not your bag, this might be a difficult watch. Before we get to verdict, who is your snog, marry, avoid from Fleabag? There's some great choices there.
I know. Okay, so I've picked to snog Claire because I think she's a bit of a firecracker and she's hilarious. I said I'd marry the Hot Priest.
Hey.
Yeah, I found him very attractive.
You're certainly not alone there. There's whole fandoms.
Yeah, there's something just like sexy in his eyes, you know. And then I would definitely avoid Martin. Oh my God. Like I would just, I think I'd have to like knee him in the crotch or something. Like he's just too much. Such a peanut.
There you go. So what's your verdicts for Fleabag, my friend?
Yeah, it's give it a look, guys. And if you guys want to give it a look, you can find it on Amazon Prime.
Excellent. Well, that's a wrap for our comeback episode. We're staying with TV time next week. What have you got for me, Rin?
Next week I have, are you ready for it? Squid Game. It was huge. Such a big show, especially because it kind of got released when we were in lockdown. So everyone was talking about it. That's for you.
Squidus Gamus. Okay. And I'm going to give you the sci-fi miniseries Devs, which I think got a bit overlooked in the early days of 2020 because, I don't know, there might have been some other global events that might have overtaken us. But keen to hear your thoughts on that. Before we go, we'd like to request that you please rate us on Spotify. You might have noticed that new feature kind of come out in the new year. So we'd really appreciate some ratings. You can always rate and review us on Apple Podcasts as well. Rin, do you want to talk about where people can reach out to us on socials?
Yes, so on our Instagram and our Twitter, you can find us at Give It A Look Pod, and our email is giveitalook1@outlook.com. Hit us up, guys.
Good stuff. Any final words?
No.
It's true what they say. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. Okay, we'll see you next week.